What's up guys, welcome back to the Talaria Boys channel. Today we have a very exciting video for you. This is our red Talaria XXX with pedal kit installed, and it is time to finally install the first available upgraded controller. So this is a Nucular controller. It is literally the first option, readily available, plug and play. We're gonna install it today and we're gonna see if we can custom tune this bike to be even better than it already is. We're already super happy with the performance, but we want to see if we can get some higher power numbers from this battery. And then at the end of the video, we're going to test it against another Talaria XXX, see how much faster it is, see how the top speed compares, and see if this controller is worth the money.
Okay, here's what comes in the box. You got your controller, you got these 3D printed brackets that are gonna hold the controller on and look super good in there. We were one of the first people to get this controller, so we have the 3D printed version. Soon they will be injection molded brackets, just like the Talaria Sting version. You've also got your screen here, then you've got all your custom wiring for the XXX. So that's gonna go right on there, wiring to the screen. We also found out after our last video where we put this on the Sting R, you can actually plug in a thumb throttle to this bike, and then you can custom tune that to do your regen. So then you're just like the X9000, you have a thumb regen throttle. So we're stoked to try that. That's just getting the stock sprocket put back on, and we'll get this controller thrown on there. Okay, we got these 4 bolts taken off. We took off this horn cover, and then the controller came right out. Now what we're gonna do is unhook these 5 wires, as well as these 2 connectors. And then the 3 connectors. And then the controller will be off. The new one should go right on with these brackets. You don't have to cut the skid plate, you don't have to cut anything. It'll go right in there. Perfect. And the controller will bolt right to these 2 pieces. It's gonna be super easy to install. Make sure your battery is unplugged before you do any of this, which we did not do yet. If you guys don't know how to unplug your battery, here's how you do it. You take off your bottom shock mount, your whole wheel will go down. Then you're gonna unscrew these 2 bolts here. You might have quick releases there, we have bolts. I think it's because we have the pedals. You're gonna take off those 2 bolts, this cover will open up, just unplug your battery, same as like a Sting R.
Yeah, so we'll pull this bolt out. We already took the nut off. See, that drops out of the way. You kind of have to lift the bike up a little bit to be able to open the door fully.
Okay, we got these 2 bolts loosened, they just move out of the way. This comes right up. Boom, unplugged. Now there's no electricity going to anything, so we're good to go up here. We're gonna take off these connectors. This is the wire we cut in the last video so we could have full speed. It's easy if you get a little tool to push these push pins in. Boom, okay. Those are all done. Now we got our 5 power and motor wires. So they're all labeled, so you're good to go. Okay, now we're gonna put these plastic pieces on. They go right here and just bolt to the same stock metal brackets. You're gonna need to take your skid plate off to put the bottom bolt in, but then you can put it right back on. You don't need to cut it or anything. What we're gonna use are they give you new bolts with a nut. The nut is gonna go inside this plastic piece, and it's shaped so that you don't have to hold it or nothing. Then on this side you just thread it in and get it, and on this side you just thread it in, and it's good to go. Okay, that piece is on. We'll get the other piece on, then we'll hook these wires up, take off the skid plate, controller will bolt right on, and then we'll be done. This is gonna be the easiest controller I've ever installed. Okay, we got our controller. We got all of our custom wires they made. They're all labeled, and the controller's labeled, so you just find which one matches, stick it in there. And then this is the screen. We're gonna run this up through the frame, and Lance is gonna put the screen on.
Okay, we're gonna start with what you gotta do to install this screen. So first off, you have to remove these 5 little Phillips head screws, and then we're gonna plug in this cable, which will then run down to the controller. Also in here is where you would plug in your regen thumb throttle. We're not doing that in this video because we don't have one yet, but in a future video, we're excited to try that. All right, so we're gonna plug it in this first larger slot that's called system. So go ahead and just line that up. There's only one way it can plug in, so just kind of be careful when you're lining it up to make sure it goes in. So we got this first plug plugged into this system slot. It says system right underneath those wires. If you're doing that thumb regen throttle, you would plug it into the throttle one. You can also within here, if you want to use that regen throttle as an actual throttle to go with instead of your twist throttle, you could swap it to the other side of your bar, and you can do that within the settings in here. You also have a lot of different plugs and wiring setups that you could do at some point. They don't give you wiring for anything else, so we're not super familiar with that, but there is a ton of customizability within this controller, which is super cool. So we're gonna button this back up. I'll show you how to mount it on the bars.
All right, time to take the skid plate off, and we'll get the rest of these wires plugged in.
To install this, all
right, Lance.
You've messed me up like 8 times in a row, so now I'm struggling. So to install this display, you're going to use a GoPro style mount, and we're going to actually replace this stem top cap. So we're going to remove that, we're going to loosen both these side things, and then when we put it back together, you need to make sure that you tighten this one first. So you tighten this on first, and then you clamp the sides. That is to ensure that your headset gets clamped together. Screw that. They give you 2 different bolts so that you get the right thread pitch, and this is the correct one. So the one with the finer threads, we're going to drop on there. We're going to thread into there. It's going to go in, and we'll line it up, and then you have to make sure that your bar is straight. So your bar will obviously turn, so you need to line that up with your front wheel, and then like I said, tighten this one down first. You need to go nice and snug, not like ridiculously tight, but snug, and then you'll do these side ones.
Alright guys, we got all the wires hooked up. There's plenty of room for all the wires in the back. We're just gonna shove all those up there. Put this up there. Alright you guys, turns out we did it backwards. We're supposed to put these on the controller and then hook this onto here. So make sure you got your 2 nuts in there, and then you can bolt this on. Oh! Okay, so the bolts you're gonna use are those long ones I was showing you earlier, and the nut. So then it just goes through there. You put the nut on. Then to do these side ones, you use the same stock bolts you had that you took off the other controller. And those will go right in and screw onto those nuts.
So we have the wire that's hooked up to the screen running down by the handlebar, going down behind the light.
Cut this zip tie, put it right there, put a new zip tie on, and put it right through here down to the controller. Okay, we got our whole assembly put together, we got our covers on the wires, we got all of them plugged in. Everything's good to go. These pieces are on now. It's time to put it on. It's on.
Yeah, that is on. I got the wire coming down from the display zip tied up in a couple spots. It looks super clean.
Alright, we got the whole controller put on. That was the easiest controller we've ever put on, which is super awesome. Now we just gotta plug the battery back in. We'll see if it even works.
Yeah, look how clean that is looking. It literally looks OEM. Even with the 3D printed brackets, it'll look even better when they do that injection molded.
For sure.
And then the display hooks right up. Like, look how nice that looks, all centered up on the bar. Easy to read, large. It's got the nice tactile buttons, and the wiring was so easy, way easier than a Suron, Talaria Sting. Any other controller we put on, you just literally just pop it right down, right under the horn cover, and plug it in. So that was awesome. Now let's plug our battery back in.
Boom. Plugged in.
Screw those back in.
We forgot to take our screen off. That's okay, we'll leave it on. Let's do a auto setup. Okay, here we go. Full setup. On. Make sure your wheel is good to free spin. And we're going. Brake. I'm not pressing because they're not hooked up. Just gonna skip that. Throttle. Release. Ready? Yeah.
That's normal, don't worry.
We're good.
So that was basically calibrating the motor and learning how the motor runs and what it needs to be able to run for this specific motor. So it's kind of an auto-tune feature, if you will, that also calibrates, you know, by spinning the wheel forward, spinning the wheel backwards. Now we got to go in and change a few other parameters to get us up and running.
So we're gonna save that So that is good to go. Let's see if it goes. Whoop.
That's awesome. Look at that.
Okay, now that we're in the settings, we're gonna do a couple parameters, make sure it's all good to go. So we're gonna go to our battery. We're gonna make sure it is on 16S for the stock 60-volt battery. And we're just gonna apply setup. And those are all the settings that you're gonna wanna use. It should already be good to go. Now, we're gonna go to control modes. This is gonna be your power and your speed and your phase amps, for your 3 different modes, 1, 2, and 3. We're gonna set them pretty high and see what this battery is capable of running. One more thing I forgot to mention. We're gonna set our throttle. So you're gonna go to control, and this is our throttle modes. We got 5 different ones. Our favorite one is power plus torque. So we're just gonna run with that. It is super smooth throttle. You can go and play with those however you want. Make sure you save all those settings after you do it, or you'll have to start over. And that's all we're gonna do for now. You can do tons more.
Thanks for watching, guys. Hit that subscribe button. We'll catch you next video. See ya.